Hello and welcome to this preview for tonight's show at windowsontheworld.net on the live shows page. And over the past few weeks and before Christmas, we were doing shows entitled The Fact Killers. And those shows are available in our archive at windowsontheworld.net on the live shows page. We've also been doing some live streams on platforms such as YouTube. But this week, I've had another show taken down by YouTube, which was called COVID-19, Babylon's Business Plan, which was over a year old. And we are now available, and all of our catalogue is available on Spreaker and Odyssey. So all of the shows which go onto our Spreaker platform, which is on the website, windowsontheworld.net, also appear along with our huge video archive of about 540 videos on Odyssey. And you can get to that by clicking on the homepage, windowsontheworld.net. All the links are there. We also have a Discord server, though I don't know how long we're going to have the Discord server because things are starting to disappear. We're going to be talking about that in tonight's show and how to stay connected when and if these things happen. So tonight we're going to be exploring long-term propaganda and how it fits into the present. In other words, if you don't know the history, then you're not going to know where we are in a plan that has been going on a long time. The things we're going to be looking into tonight include a lot of the current events which tie into the propaganda narrative, and also going back to the 60s and onwards, social engineering, and a specific paper that was actually quite recent, which is all about how Soviet propaganda was feared by the West. Well, the West has now surpassed itself through years and years of being changed and is now a kind of shining example to that old system, but the new system of communitarianism, which is the hive mind that you see everywhere. We're going to be talking about how these propaganda narratives can be easily taken down. Are you a Google scientist? Is that what you are? So you're saying that all the scientists in the world are wrong? These are the sort of banal answers that people come up with now, and also how to get out of that and how to use proper argument. We've covered this in quite a few shows, but it's actually a very useful tool, but we're actually framing it in the bigger picture, the much bigger picture of the present. So yeah, quite a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yes, the Fact Killers, do have a look at those shows. And we did a live stream, which is on YouTube. It should be the video before this. If you haven't seen that, that was a very constructive conversation. In fact, it was called Constructive Conversation. And we're going to be having more of those constructive conversations over the next few weeks. And I'm going to be having some guests on, which I don't usually do, but these are guests who have very important and interesting things to say, which you can't find elsewhere. There's no point repeating stuff and having guests on that go on other shows. We are definitely distinct from any other form of media, which is the subject actually of those last few shows, which I think were very interesting, framed everything we do and are quite important. But yeah, do join us on Spreaker, Odyssey, and Discord on the homepage at windowsontheworld.net before I forget again. And those, here we go, those not filled with awareness and understanding of the situation they are in will assist it. I wrote this 5 years ago. They will participate in their own demise and help to oversee the demise of others. And that is very relevant to what is going on now. So yeah, in the past, facts would be the winning argument, but now facts are merely demonized. Facts do not matter in the post-truth world. There is no need for facts in this consensus reality. But how did it get to this point? It got to this point through the education system, the gulag of academia, which has now produced its final drone. Yes, the artificial intelligence drone of the future. It was always leading towards this, with the lack of individuality and the hive-mindedness, then the destruction of industry. And we've covered all that in loads of shows over the years. And it's really not that complicated. what we've seen an acceleration of the control of propaganda. And I'm going to give you some really good examples of that tonight, of how the post-truth world has gone post-truth. For instance, you've got this Guardian poll. They wanted to find the person of the year. It turned out to be J.K. Rowling. So they just pulled the poll. It's absolutely incredible that that could happen, and that would even be acceptable. That is where we are in the propaganda war now. Just have a look at some of the comments. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. I was watching some Yuri Bezmenov. Happy New Year. Well, Yuri Bezmenov was great. And if you haven't looked at his stuff, it's still around. And I would actually advise people to go to Odysee. And that's ODYSEE, which is part of LBRY, I think. And it's like a blockchain kind of channel, which we're on. And we've got many subscribers on there. We're trying to get everyone away from YouTube. So do subscribe to us on Odysee. Click that link at the homepage at windowsontheworld.net. But it's actually great, even if you want sort of entertainment, if you're looking for even old movies, there's everything on it. I don't know how long they're going to be there, but I've spent some time over the past week when I was really tired, just looking at some old movies, which are basically predicting where we are now. I do like to look at that stuff. Greetings, Mark, and Happy New Year to all. Thank you very much, Bon Bon. Yuri Bezmenov was bang on. Yes, there have been other social commentators who came out of the USSR, not as well known as Bezmenov, because he went around doing talks and tours on it, of course, in the 1980s. And he was warning that America would turn into actually what it has turned into, and what the UK has also turned into. He's warning about that in the 80s, ideological subversion. The host has to be willing, the population have to be willingly subverted. And of course, the education system has helped that, which is why you now get your consensus reality, the Guardian, an independent type, one view of propaganda. And it's all coming through news agencies, but it's all being written in artificial intelligence as well for these smaller kind of papers. It was interesting. I was watching a little clip on our Discord channel that I think Emil put up, and it was Brian Clough, I think in the 70s, talking about Murdoch and Maxwell. And we're going to get into that a bit tonight, but we're going to look at the overview of what the Maxwell thing is really about. In other words, the third parties who benefit from defamation. And that is one of the things that I've been covering in those last few shows as well. The Bill Gates Guardian, indeed, absolutely correct. This is getting a bit noisy. I don't know what that is. But yeah, let's see what else I've got here. Those who have spent longest in the academic gulag are its fiercest defenders. We're going to be exploring that tonight, because individuality is really the way out of all of this stuff. And that means we are in the Third World War. However, it does mean that those who are best situated and adapted to what's going on deal with it better. Just makes sense. It's a kind of strategy. And that's what I've found from the very start, that because a lot of this was in preparation for a long time, it wasn't too much of a shock. But what is the most and biggest part of it, I would say, the most important part of the whole thing is the propaganda narrative, because the whole thing would just fall apart without that. So we're going to get into that tonight. And please join me at 9:30 p.m. windowsontheworld.net live shows page. Last week, because it was over Christmas, we did a live stream instead, which is on YouTube, and I will put that audio onto the Spreaker channel. The live streams actually do go onto the Spreaker channel. Just a few things to remind you of. Interview with Jerry Marzinski on the 7th. That's the 7th this week, which is in a few days' time. And also 2 other interviews will be coming up, and I've got a bit of a backlog of stuff to put out as well. So I've been working on all that and putting in more research. Okay, that's great. So I will see everybody, or you'll hear me, at 9:30 p.m. UK time this Sunday and every Sunday at windowsontheworld.net on the live shows page. Our full archive is in the website. Do join us on Odysee. Odysee is just brilliant. I think it's fantastic at the moment. It may, however, be restricted. We do have a Discord server, which you can click on the homepage at windowsontheworld.net and join that. We've got about 750 people in there now, and very interesting stuff gets posted in there, and you can have a bit of fun as well. And the big problem we're going to have in the next year is staying on any kind of platform, because I do think that a lot of these Discord channels are going to be removed, probably including ours. So get in there, and whatever happens, this information will carry on, because it's a lifelong research project. And hopefully it helps people to join a few dots and find the solutions. People are always going on about solutions, but the solutions I've been talking about are in the archive. And a lot of this stuff does work. So there's no need to feel completely personally disempowered. The stuff is there. I really appreciate your work. Well, that's great, actually, because I do get a few people who are very pedantic, who send me things which I haven't really said. They say, "Oh, you got this wrong." Well, actually, I didn't get it wrong. When you actually listen back to what I said, it's just I've started something and they've put it out of context. So I'm getting a bit of that as well. And it's quite irritating, actually, because these people just they send me really long emails with all this stuff in. It's just a distraction. But one thing I will say is that everything I've tried in the past which has worked, I've shared. It's out there. It doesn't get a huge audience because, as we know, people want hopium and basically BS merchants, because they've been mentored into having gurus. And these idiots who turn up for 5 minutes and tell them nothing, distract them, and then they're gone. And that's what the whole Facebook phenomenon is all about. It's all about, oh, somebody's died. Oh, sorry about your loss. Then it's onto something trivial again. So nothing of any importance is ever absorbed or really shared. I find that Facebook, though, is quite useful for picking up the mainstream news items, which actually point to the bigger picture of what's going on. Yeah, Bolshevik Revolution Take Two. Thank you, Annie. Yes, and of course, it's soft Bolshevism, but it could get a bit tougher. By that, I mean that the people who are being trained to turn against those who can think are those who are the indoctrinated from the academic gulag and the gulags of the likes of the one voice media. And I don't think the alternative media is that much better. There's a lot of waffle and nonsense goes on in that. And I've always tried to keep things very, very focused in what we put out. I'll never go on the air just to say nothing. And I've really concentrated on that. And I think every show is a kind of lesson. There's stuff in there that I learn myself. So this is like me learning and sharing it. That's the whole point of sharing it, because then it becomes more use. So basically, join me in the lifelong research project, which is Windows on the World, 9:30 p.m. this Sunday and every Sunday. And do check out the website. I'm going to get off now because I've got a show to do. So thanks a lot, everybody, for your kind words, and see you later.